Wait a minute. Were you able to understand what we were trying to say through sign language?
I bet you didn't. And that is exactly the situation of Ellie.
Ellie is an 8-year-old second grader from the Philippines with a hearing impairment. She wants to become a computer engineer someday, but unfortunately, she's unable to attend school this year. With the 5 million children with disabilities in the Philippines, only 231,000 are enrolled in a formal education system. Like Ellie, a lot of these children are forced to drop out of school. In fact, only 71,000 were able to enroll this year due to the pandemic, and that's just 1.4% of these children. While there are already student modules for COVID-19 blended learning setup, there are no instructional materials provided with those with hearing impairments like Ellie. In summary, PWD learning in the Philippines is underdeveloped, there are little options for online learning for the deaf, and COVID-19 has marginalized them further. Thus, there is a very real chance that the dreams of an entire generation of hearing impaired learners may be lost if nothing is done. We are here to solve the problem of Ellie and many other hearing impaired children in the Philippines with our breakthrough innovation, Stable. Stable stands for students who are able. Much like a stable where horses are trained, our team at Stable wants to help hearing impaired students like Ellie be equipped so that they will be able to grab opportunities in the world ahead of them. We envision to do this by introducing the Stable app. Through conducting user interviews with educators for hearing impaired students and possible partner institutions, our team was able to come up with our solution. Stable is the first ever adaptive learning management system for hearing impaired primary students. By using Stable, Ellie can continue her studies through a fun and interactive app specifically designed for students like her. What can Ellie expect while using the app? Ellie will surely be intrigued by carefully designed, visually appealing, and easy to understand content that will guide hearing impaired kids while using Stable. She should not worry about missing lessons anymore, as Stable will provide curated content in line with the prescribed most essential learning competencies curriculum. To get a better feel of the app, let us take a look at our demonstration video.
Introducing the first ever learning management system in the Philippines for hearing impaired students, Stable. Once logged into the student manual, students will be directed to a dashboard that contains the navigation buttons for the Classroom tab and the Playground tab. While designing this dashboard, we at Stable made sure to incorporate certain design aspects that leverages the hard of hearing community. From consistently keeping sentences short to 3 to 6 words to using a linear and logical layout for the users to understand. In the Classroom feature, students will use and see their enrolled classes. By clicking into a lesson, the students will be redirected to a media player that will play the lessons with accompanied subtitles and an option for Filipino Sign Language interpretations. Within the video, an interactive button the student also express if she or he has understood it or needs further help. Acknowledging that these children are also interested in playing games, we at Stable created hearing impaired friendly, unique gamified assessments and a safe space community playground. Through the playground, students can reinforce their understanding of the lessons with storytelling and multiplayer games. To motivate them while learning, the app also includes a digital badges feature for each milestone that the child achieves. With a click of the mouse, students will also be able to connect with other hearing impaired students in the forum section. An option for a written message or a sign language video message will also pop up on their screens in the forum. An important challenge that Stable will also be able to address is equipping the educators of Ellie to provide the superior quality of education they need. We recognize that giving educators the right tools is important in improving the SPED landscape. Through Stable, SPED instructors will be able to better view analytics of the learning module engagements and assess their students' progress on the teacher's dashboard. In kickstarting this project, Stable will first be developed for the hearing impaired students in grade 1 to 3. As these are the key developmental stages for the children, Stable will focus on creating content anchored on teaching sign language and language. The pilot phase for the deployment of Stable will be in partnership of eClaro Academy for the Deaf and 4 other learning institutions. Currently, eClaro Academy caters to 36 hearing impaired students from grades 1 to 3 and is a perfect partner for Stable since it's a non-traditional, tech-oriented academic institution that adheres to a student-centered pedagogical approach.
Now that we have a sense on what Stable is about, you may ask, what separates Stable from all the other existing apps for hearing impaired students? Until now, products for the hearing impaired have been either restricted to specific demographics or leverage only very primitive technologies that are fast becoming outdated. Stable is the first of its kind that envisions to consolidate knowledge networks of different learning institutions to create a fun, easy to use, advanced learning management system. This would mean that Stable could eventually become a truly unique global network of hearing impaired learners and teaching professionals. This digital community will empower learners to share their learning challenges with each other and students to share the best learning practices. Not only that, Stable, through its scalable features, will ensure that in time, this knowledge is accessible to those hearing impaired students that are worse off socioeconomically, thereby expanding our impact vertically.
How much then does it take to make Stable a reality for Ellie? Our team foresees that the development of our application would cost at least $7,500. With the $10,000 that we may garner from the Sri Narayana's Foundation, we could potentially work towards building the app, which includes video productions, user experience design structuring, and building our cloud and database.
Once put up, Stable's main revenue stream will come from the $10,800 average annual subscription of the educational institutions, which only amounts to about $25 a month per student. Together with our garnered seed funding, we will be reinvesting our revenues to continuously develop Stable. Our vision here at Stable is not only short-term, but is also long-term for the overall improvement of the Philippines SPED framework. We will strive to innovate and improve our features along the way so that Ellie would get the holistic quality education that she deserves. For the next phases of our application development in the following years, we want to be able to cater to more students like Ellie by widening our reach to all basic education levels and institutions for the hearing impaired and introducing content for subjects such as math, science, and history. The Stable team will also explore the possibility of making Stable available as a mobile app and work towards upgrading with features such as an upgraded sign language dictionary, lower data and memory requirements, a performance tracker to determine the best learning style for the student, and an AI predictor for feedback to teachers. So what's in store for Stable users? Aside from the key features mentioned, a certificate for completion of the accredited program could be used for enrollment in other institutions. With Stable, we also cut the number of hours that teachers spend in lecture preparation, grades reviewing and recording, and student evaluation by as much as 30%, while reallocating that time for more important teaching components such as student guidance. By 2022, Stable aims to partner with CSV School for the Deaf and 51 other schools in the Philippines, and even expand further to countries such as India, Hong Kong, US, and Canada by 2030, so that we would not only be able to help Ellie become one step closer to becoming a computer engineer, but also help other kids become whatever they want to be, regardless of their hearing. Our world-class team has invested time and effort to create a solution that is very close to our heart. Most of our members have been involved in volunteer work for disabled students and have been closely working on projects with our organizations. Personally, I almost became like Ellie when I was at the verge of losing my hearing when I was 16. And so this challenge became an avenue for our team to create a solution that will become inclusive and accessible to hearing impaired students in order to contribute to the attainment of SDG 4 quality education. To hear positive feedback from a SPED professor and a deaf tutor that our app will not only help academics, but also in holistic development motivates us to develop further better techniques and strategies for these learners.
So hop on board with us and letting our hearing impaired students experience the education that they need. We are 6 students from the Philippines, India, and Hong Kong, hoping to touch the lives of thousands of other students.
Our vision of creating a better learning environment will be possible with your support. Together, let us make learning for children more stable. Together, let us help these students be able. Together, we are stable.
Thank you very much, Optimizing Optimism. And at this point, yep, let's open the floor up to questions from our judges. Right, first question from Jocelyn, please.
Thanks for a very good presentation, and I appreciate the focus on an important and vulnerable population. Nice job on that. I was just interested in understanding a bit. You had a slide in there comparing your solution to a number of other solutions that are in the field. I wonder if you would be kind enough to expand on that a bit. What makes yours so different?
Okay, so to start off, these other applications that we had mentioned, they only have like a dictionary feature. So it doesn't really have that sense of engagement and community. And at the same time, they don't really have that initiative to partner with educational institutions. To add to this, we also use modern, very high tech, such as AI, machine learning, big data, and the cloud to our model, to our system, to our solution. We also try to create this entire ecosystem that revolves between student, teacher, parent, and perhaps even developers and partner institutions.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question from Asiya.
Hi, thank you very much. A great presentation. I picked up through the presentation that you'd really thought about how to teach reading in the early grades to children and how to teach reading particularly to children of hearing impaired children. Can you say a little bit more about how you did that research?
Okay, so basically we identified the 6 to 12 age bracket as a very essential user to target, mainly because this group has a high potential for cognitive development. And by not targeting this group, this would mean a lot of loss in potential, a loss in like generating long-term impact and benefits. So yeah, this is why we chose this target user.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, by the way?
All right, there's a question from Daphne.
Hi, yeah, terrific presentation, really important population that you'd be serving. I just wondered, had you had a chance to test this out with the population of children?
Gia?
Yes, so we were able to get some feedback from a deaf tutor who did go through the entire learning experience as a kid. We didn't have time to test it with children, but we, as I mentioned, and according to the pitch earlier, we did go through it with a professor who currently works for the Department of Education in the Philippines. And she said that our app would make a huge impact, especially since there aren't any existing digital learning platforms that connect teachers and students and even with their parents and that address that emotional impact that they have. So I'd say with our app, it's very community friendly. And we've done our research to see if other tools do have this. And so far, none have done that. If ever, these tools just supplement their learning.
Yes, to finally add to that, this solution of ours can potentially be a breakthrough, not just in the Philippines, but also in the world, just as all of our interviewees had mentioned.
Right, thank you. Very quickly, time for a last question from Colin. Great presentation. Help me to understand your development budget and the evidence that you have that it is reasonable.
So we conceptualized that after going through tons of research and brainstorming, we eventually came to the conclusion that we require at least $7,500 or approximately about 10,000 Canadian dollars. So boiling this down into different components, we realized that this requires the amount of money is required to produce a prototype, to hire the needed developers, content creators, and also partnerships. And at the same time, we also considered like the maintenance costs for the prototype and eventual development from alpha to beta and to the actual final product that would be shared publicly.
Right, thank you, Optimizing Optimism.